We came so far from dreams. The path was hard for me. They thought we fall, you see. Well, look at us now, look at us now. We make it hot when we on the scene. Yeah, that's 1,000 degrees. I got a grind for me and my team. Yeah, you know we gon' eat. You see the crowds when we come around. You know that I roll with some kings. We sit it down, I don't hear a sound, but I ask you who better than we. Tell me who better than we. We soaring to places you never could reach. When we walk in that spot, don't hear none of you speak. Shh, do you want peace or the peace? A king about to put you to sleep. Listen, my team is elite. You not even qualified to compete. He starving, he barely can eat. I guess that's why he always itching for beef. So I put him on ice and I told him to chill. Close your mouth if you can't pay for the meal. Making statements that you know you don't mean. Nice guy trying to act like he mean. Keep it a buck, keep it a bean. Attitudes will put you dudes in the beam. Izuku, he don't live in reality. Shake back, all become a fatality. Yeah, how you gon' hate when you mirror us? He think he a star, he ain't serious. X him out, we not on the same frequency. If you broke, you ain't hearing this. Work the screw, anime, that's how I feel, period. We winning, that's making them furious. We make it high when we on the scene, yeah, that's 1,000 degrees. I got a grind for me and my team, yeah, you know we gon' eat. You see the crowds when we come around, you know that I roll with some kings. We sit it down, I don't hear a sound, but I ask you who better than we.
Yo, what it do, guys? It is your boy, Nomu here, and I'm back for you with another new part of What If Izuku Had Monsunos. This is part 10, and honestly, this is the part that I'm actually really looking forward to, and the part after that too, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Anyway, let's go with that of a necessary recap. In the last part, classes finally come to an end in the very next day, and Izuku beginning his third day, while explaining things to that of you as she's getting anxious not being able to take part in another Monsuno mission or something. However, not only that, Mei is making blueprints by creating support gear for their Monsunos, but only in that of the test, but she hasn't made them yet, except just made the blueprints and the schematics for them alone, as she calls them strike gear, and plans on telling that of his dad about that of the strike gear when he can. At the same time, Izuku becomes that of class rep of class 1A, once again, like that in canon, of course, but gives the position towards Ida, as showing that of his capabilities and skills in gathering people's attention and being responsible for a group of people after all, believing he's the better choice for class 1A's class rep. With Class 1A now beginning that of rescue training at an off-campus facility known as the USJ, where that of UA's rescue teacher, 13, explaining the importance of being able to understand how dangerous a quirk is and how necessary to know how much you need to use it when it comes to saving lives from natural disasters, which is exactly what the USJ is meant to teach them. However, it seems that may not be the case, with actual villains arriving in the USJ. So, with all that said, let's get into this, shall we, guys? Currently at the USJ, with that of, as coming through that of a purple-like portal, is that of several tons of villains, with one of the villains looking like that of the ringleader, as he has tons of hands across his body and on his face, with that of lightish blue hair. However, if you look past that of the hand, he has that of crimson red eyes. Within, realizing, where the hell is All Might? We came here to basically take care of him. Within, soon, that's when the mist-like portal begins to condense itself. Before then, it begins to become that of a person, wearing that of a bartender uniform. However, you could see that of yellow eyes through the smoke where his head should be. But then saying, apologies, Tomer Shigaraki, but it seems like All Might is not here. I've already sent that of many of our allies across that of this facility, and I haven't seen him one bit. Within hearing this, the hand-like villain, otherwise known as Shigaraki, begins to basically scratch his neck, saying, damn it, we got in all of these players here, and to basically and the boss hasn't even shown up. Ugh, what a pain. Before then, pulling something out of his pocket, holding with that of, well, 4 fingers, being his thumb, index finger, middle finger, and ring finger, as it's being a Monsuno core, and not just any Monsuno core, an Eclipse core. That damn doctor wanted me to use this thing on All Might in case the Nomu wasn't enough. Well, whatever. Doesn't matter. How about and seeing that there's only like 2 heroes here, and only just a bunch of kids, how about we slaughter them and have a little bit of fun? With then saying, you all know what to do. With all of them couldn't help but giggle, laugh, and say, oh yeah. As the assortment of villains, ranging from males to females, with unique and crazy-like quirks, all began to basically head towards that of the entranceway. However, Aizawa begins to repair, saying, 13, get all the kids out of here now. I'll take care of this. Before then, Izuku saying, wait, Mr. Aizawa, you can't. With then, Aizawa looking at that of Izuku, with Izuku a little bit nervous, but still standing his ground, saying, sir, your quirk is made to basically take on that of sneak attacks, stealth, basically catching people off guard. You cannot handle an entire group of people like this. Within, Aizawa saying, Midoriya, I thought you would know better than that. When you're in this profession, you can't be a one-trick pony. Within, he jumps down, scarf ready and all, and goggles over his eyes. Before then, using his quirk on that of several of the villains, one having that of, well, gun hands. Before then, and also one of them being a female villain with that of weird hair, and a guy with that of seeming like that of a strength quirk, all getting wrapped around that of Aizawa's capture scarf, flung up into the air before then slammed into each other, being brought down to the ground, slam, unconscious, with Aizawa still having his quirk activated, rushing more into the fray, capturing one who tried to attack him, canceling out his quirk, kicking him, wrapping him around his capture star before kicking him away, then grabbing another, punching him in the gut before then slamming him to the ground with his scarf, and begins to basically mow down each and every one of the villains without even breaking a sweat or leaving his eye, or even deactivating his quirk once. With Izuku completely and utterly shocked and surprised, saying, but I thought all footage or even any information about that of Eraserhead has always been about him being more of a stealth-based hero, not a full-on, full-force combat hero that can face against multiple enemies at the same time. Did he really improve himself? Or is he able to hold his eyes open for that long? This can't be. Within 13 saying, Midoriya, come on, we have to go now. Within, Izuku looking back at his teacher, saying, he knows about that of Monsunos. He knows about the true meaning behind my quirk. And he knows about Dad. Maybe, just maybe he can use that. He's relying on that of his Monsuno as a trump card. I really hope that's the case. With then as running towards that of the exit way with everyone else, that's when the shadow-like entity basically comes in between everybody in Class 1A, with everybody freaking out and shocked. Before then, the mist-like figure saying, apologies, everyone. My name is Kurogiri, and we are the League of Villains. We have come to this bastion of heroism to basically take down that of the number one hero, All Might. However, it seems like he is not here. But I guess it can't be helped. So how about for the meantime, before he arrives, we basically scatter all your corpses for him to notice as he begins to basically expand himself. And to the point that everybody begins freaking out, with 13 basically staying calm as she's about to use that of her black hole quirk onto that of Kurogiri. However, instead of being able to, mainly because of Bakugo and Kirishima stepping in the front of her line of fire, trying to take down that of Kurogiri themselves, with Bakugo sending that of an explosion towards that of the mist-like villain, and Kirishima hoping to basically hit him in that of the mist itself. But instead, they didn't do nothing, but just create that of a giant smoke cloud. Within 13 saying, "What are you two doing? Get back here now!" Within, Bakugo basically arrogantly saying, "Doesn't even matter. This guy is basically nothing but just chump change. A third-rate villain." With Kirishima's arms basically hardening, saying, "Yeah, we got this. Everybody, you better get going." Before then, Kurogiri laughing, saying, "Haha, what did I expect from that of such golden gooses such as you all?" With Bakugo and Kirishima shocked that they didn't do any damage at all. With then, Izuku was about to bring out that of one of his Monsunos, as it being that of Deep Six, as when he holds on to Deep Six, it basically telling him to spin him out as quickly as possible. However, before Izuku got the chance, he and everyone else, a part of that of Class 1A, with only a select few being sucked up, sent across that of the USJ, with the only ones remaining at the entranceway being that of Ochako, Ida, Mina, Shoji, and Sato alongside Sero. However, somebody else was also basically left behind, that being Tokoyami, and something else was also left behind too. As in between that of Tokoyami's feet of his boots, is that of Glowblade's, core. Within realizing everybody is gone. Such a dark and such sinister quirk of teleportation. As the large majority of Class 1A has now been scattered across that of the USJ for to be picked off one by one by that of the League of Villains cohorts. As for currently Izuku, he's basically falling. At the same time, that's when Deep Six tells him to spin him out. With Izuku having a serious look saying, "Deep Six, launch!" The moment he spinned out Deep Six, it landed on the tip of something, as it being a boat. Jumping from that of his core, right, showing that of his four-legged shark glory, the fusion of a great white shark and a honey badger. Deep Six jumps up, getting Izuku on his back and having him in that of the water, with causing a huge splash that can quite be seen from the cross of the USJ. But currently, right now, those in the center don't really care, as they're focusing on trying to take down that of, Eraser. With Izuku getting, soaked by that of the water, but not entirely shocked by this. Then realizing, this is what you were preparing me for, Deep Six. Thanks. With Deep Six basically giving off that of a growl, mainly a growl of that of welcome towards Izuku. At the same time, a few villains began to basically worry, not getting any closer to Deep Six, with one of them being like that of a, hammerhead shark saying, "The hell is that thing?" With another one of the villains almost looking like that of a, that fish dude from Hellboy, but with white skin, saying, "I have no idea. Probably one of those kids' quirks. I thought they didn't have something this crazy." Before then, something coming up towards Izuku. Within Izuku, as Deep Six basically growls, before then saying, "Hey, I'm not trying to cause any harm." Before recognizing the voice, saying, "That voice." Looking over to the side, seeing that of Tsuyu, carrying that of Mineta, saying, "Asui, Mineta." Within saying, "I told you to call me Sue, Midoriya." Before then, Mineta basically, feeling relieved and also glad that he isn't dead, but also saying about that, Tsuyu's chest seems like great floaties. Before then, slamming that of Mineta across that of the boats and getting on top of that of Deep Six's back to keep away from that of Mineta. With Izuku completely and utterly shocked that she basically did that to him and, well, panicking like crazy. As for Deep Six, she couldn't help but basically respect that of, well, Tsuyu, as he also heard what that of Mineta said, given his amplified hearing and senses. With then Tsuyu saying, Midoriya, I'm glad that you were able to basically keep yourself from being trapped in the water. Tons of villains are basically under there. With then Mineta trying to get back on his feet from the pain, saying, seriously, what the actual hell? And who the heck is that thing? Before then, he's saying, it's part of my quirk, Mineta. Before then, looking at that of Deep Six's core, seeing his energy, but then realizing, he's in peak condition. And the fact that they haven't attacked us yet is because they're cautious about Deep Six. Smart, but it's not like it's going to help them after all. With then Mineta trying to get onto that of Deep Six, but given how short he is, before then Suit saying, so what are we going to do? You're just going to use that of your monstrous animal quirk to basically get us out of here, Midoriya? With then Izuku saying, I could, however, given that these villains are being cautious around Deep Six, meaning I need to basically figure out what they can do. And once they're no longer cautious, that's our moment to move. For the meantime, could you guys explain what your quirks are? I was only able to get at least a good, feel for them during that of the battle trials after all. So could you, before then, see you saying, sure. As you know, my quirk is basically frog. I can literally do everything that a frog can do, with even extend that of my tongue and that of 7 feet long after all. I can jump pretty high and even breathe underwater too. I can even, store things in my stomach as well. But then, Mineta soon showing one of his pop-off balls, saying, my quirk is called pop-off. They're basically sticky balls I can basically put on anything or anyone. They even last longer if I had something to eat and have a good bowel movement. With then, soon, both Tsuyu and Izuku look at that of Mineta in quite a bit of shock. With then, Mineta basically saying, oh, don't give me that look. I know my quirk isn't that flashy or that useful. Before then, Izuku saying, no, actually, it is. We're definitely going to need to use it. Deep Six, get that of Mineta onto you. But then, Deep Six, basically growling, but mainly in that of a growl of, are you serious? With then saying, I know, he's Mineta, but please, come on. Before then, Deep Six annoyingly, reluctantly decides to listen to Izuku. Even though he would have done it either way, he's still just annoyed at having to put the pervert on his back. With Mineta basically grabbing onto that of Deep Six's tail, and Deep Six basically flipping him up in the air before getting him on the back. As he basically, rubs his butt, given that he landed on it, and it hurts like hell. Within soon, Izuku saying, we only get one shot at this, so we gotta wait for the perfect opportunity. As he looks at his core, within, looking at that, accessing that of Deep Six's moveset. Within soon, that's when one of the villains, basically saying, screw this. If they're not gonna attack at us, then they're basically just using fear tactic to get us on edge. Let's bring them down. With all of them screaming, yeah! As all of them begin to rush towards that of Izuku, Tsuyu, and Mineta. With Mineta freaking out, as then Izuku saying, all right, Deep Six, Shock Spear! As he opens his mouth, sending that of a burst of pure water-like energy coming from his mouth, as it basically creates that of a huge trench into that of the Shipwreck zone, separating that of the water, and even that of what the villain planned on doing, creating a massive hand out of water from that of the shipwreck zone, separating everything before then, not stopping there, saying, "Now, Deep Six, depth find!" With Deep Six growling once more, as then the that of the Monsuno essence in his body begins to glow alongside that of his gemstones on that of his fin, with both Suyu and Mineta seeing this in that of pure and utter awe. Before then, Deep Six was basically, well, blocking out many of his senses, except his echo sense, as he senses almost every single one of the villains in the water, around that of 20 to maybe 27 villains. Before then, a huge light comes from that of his gemstones up into the air, that almost everybody in the USJ can see. Before then, that light burst into that of 27 lights down into the water, piercing through each and every one of the villains, but surprisingly and thankfully not killing them, but causing them to pass out under the water. And hopefully they don't completely and utterly drown, though. With that, both Suyu and Mineta completely shocked, and not just them, other people from other zones seeing this and notice as well, utterly shocked at what they just saw, with even Shigaraki no longer looking at that of Aizawa, but now looking at that of the shipwreck zone, saying, "I think that's the secondary optional side boss we are meant to take on." With now, all of the villains in the zone are now taken care of, with many of them sinking down below, while some of them are basically floating above from being passed out from the attack. With them, Mineta saying, "Holy crap, that was so awesome, but also terrifying!" But then, Suyu can up say, "That was actually really cool, Midoriya." With then saying, "Don't thank me, thank Deep Six. He did all the heavy lifting. I'm the one that just gave the big guy orders." With Deep Six appreciating the compliment from that of Izuku, with that of a grumble roar, not in that of annoyance, but also just acknowledging and enjoyed from his controller. But then saying, "All right, Deep Six, let's get going. We need to get back with everybody else. Who knows what's happening?" However, at the same time, when Izuku took care of that of the zone, that's outside of that of UA, things are not really going so well. Mainly because a few minutes ago, currently, that's when All Might, and that's of his, depowered form, basically, in that of one of the, guidance counselor rooms, trying to relax before heading to that of the USJ, even though he wasn't supposed to, be here. He was supposed to be there to begin with. Before then, the door opens, seeing that of Principal Nezu, the chimera-looking principal, saying, "I knew you would be in here, Yagi." But then, All Might realizing, Principal Nezu, sorry. I know I'm supposed to be with that of Class 1A right now, but given what's saying, no need to make excuses, I'm already aware. Within, showing that of multiple news articles on his phone, saying, All Might stopping that of several villains on the way to that of UA across that of Masafu. Even helped that of a cat get out of the tree, helped an old lady cross the street, and even saved that of in a hostage situation with that of several heroes such as that of Death Arms, Airjet, and Kamui Woods. Within realizing, I guess it was pretty obvious, saying, when the number one hero is not in Tokyo and is currently in the Shizuoka Prefecture, it gets around after all. When in fact you're supposed to find that of your successor, though. Within hearing this, All Might couldn't help but have his head down, saying, I know, but as the number one hero, it's my duty to make sure I can protect as many people as I can, save as many lives too. I can't just sit by and do nothing, even though I know the heroes are capable but then saying, can't sit by and do nothing when people are in danger or need help. You're quite something else, All Might. Before then saying, also, there's something else I wish to talk to you about. Your suspicions about that of young Midoriya. Within hearing this, All Might saying, how did you, before then shaking his head saying, no, I figured you would bring this up with me as well, because I really do think that he is, before bringing his paw up saying, he has no connection to that of All for One. I remember you telling me that you believe he has connection to All for One because he was quirkless, especially during how much you were freaked out when you saw that of his Monsunos during the entrance exam. With then saying, how do you know this? He has to still be out there. If he can't just saying he's always had a quirk, All Might. Before then, eyes whining saying he just never knew it, or rather, it was kept a secret from him to keep him safe. Within hearing this, All Might saying, how much do you know? And why do I not know about this? Saying, it's a family issue and personal. Even the number one hero doesn't have every right to know about everyone's personal history. Within hearing this, catching All Might completely off guard. Before then, Nezu taking a seat saying, tell me, All Might, what do you know about our planet? And I don't mean about that of the people having quirks and abilities like that. No. What do you know about our planet itself? Before then, All Might scratching the back of his head saying, I wasn't the biggest when it comes to that, geology studies after all. But all I know is that humanity was born on Earth and may even die on Earth too. Sure, there were talks even before quirks about that of exploring space, and we could have even been on the moon or living on the moon by now, possibly colonizing other planets. Why? Before then, Nezu saying, there's more to this planet than just that of the usual things that scientists or that of meteorologists know. Inside our planet, inside the very core of it, has a living essence, will of its own. Within, hearing that, All Might saying, what are you? Something called Monsuno essence, the lifeblood, living, the DNA control of that of every living thing on this earth, and possibly the entire universe, if need be. Theories by that of one, Dr. Hisashi Midoriya, and many other, researchers of Monsuno essence. Before then, All Might shocked by this saying, why don't I know about this? Why doesn't anybody know about this? Saying, it was hard enough believing in that of quirks, but believing in that of Monsuno essence that has now just been recently discovered in the past 20 years. Finding out that the very planet that we live on isn't just an incubator for that of humanity, but a living thing and will of its own. Monsuno essence have the very thing of controlling the very planet itself, even humanity. If humans have a connection to Monsuno essence, a small connection, but still. And one boy's quirk is even able to control that essence within that of our very planet itself. Before All Might realizing, young Midoriya, with then shaking his head saying, yes, Izuku Midoriya, his true quirk is called Monsuno Controller. He can both sense, control, and basically manipulate Monsuno essence on his very will itself. But he has never trained with it, never controlled it, never even knew it existed. Mainly to keep his son safe, Hisashi forged and basically falsified that of his son's birth records. The moment that his quirk awakened, he paid off a lot of people to basically say that his son was quirkless to keep him safe. Sure, in this day and age, being quirkless is basically nothing but a death sentence. But it was a death sentence made to protect him. On the day that, on his 15th birthday, Hisashi Midoriya gave his son that of the Monsunos he's been developing, alongside and to help him with that of his research to understand and develop Monsunos, but also to help him prevent that of Monsunos to being abused. Within hearing this, All Might realizing Monsuno being abused, what are you talking about? Within saying, in it for the past couple of years, Monsuno's research was done by that of the by the UN task force that oversees all that of, well, military operations. Since heroes take care of basically the day-to-day things, and you must know about that of S.T.O.R.M. Within hearing that saying, S.T.O.R.M. Yes, a branch created by that of World Marshal under direct control of that of the United Nations governments. Hisashi Midoriya created his company to work with that of S.T.O.R.M, Cortec Industries. But after separating from that of S.T.O.R M, he began to go in hiding, believing that they would use that of his Monsunos for, well, nefarious reasons. You have already known how willing the HPSC is willing to go to police and basically keep law and order in check. Just imagine on what S.T.O.R M could do with that of Monsunos. Within hearing that, All Might realizing, my God. Within realizing, yes, Monsunos are dangerous, but they're also capable, living creatures and beings that deserve to live as well. Izuku Midoriya is the bridge to that understanding within our own planet. And if people abuse that of his quirk, who knows what would happen to him? Within hearing this, soon, All Might saying, what do you wish for me to do? Within saying, just give the boy a chance. Hisashi gave me permission to tell you this. You're the #1 hero and you were the boy's idol after all. Within saying, wait, were? You did break his dreams, did you not? When you were basically quirkless yourself. Before then calling out All Might on his hypocrisy saying, I guess you're right. Before then, having his head down. Before then, Nezu thinking, that's weird. Before then, All Might saying, what's weird? You're supposed to be at that of the USJ, but however, it's weird that I haven't gotten a signal from them. I normally keep in touch and keep an eye on on all classes and courses throughout that the entire day, but yet the USJ, which should be in use, isn't giving off a signal at all. Within hearing all that, All Might saying, it's not. Before then, All Might saying, I'll head over there now. Saying, did you rest up enough? Saying, at least enough where I know that I can basically head out. Before then, All Might busts up saying, I'll see you later, sir. However, as soon as All Might leaves and heading out, that's when he runs into Ida Tenya, who tells him about the situation at the USJ, as thankfully he was able to escape. However, it wasn't just by the thanks of his by that of 13, who was basically out of commission with Kurogiri using his warp gate to basically, use that of, 13's black hole quirk against her by sucking that of the black hole from her back, causing that of lacerations on her back as well. With those in shock, however, at that very moment, that's when Tokoyami basically using Dark Shadow, but at the same time, he uses that of Izuku's Monsuno core. Within saying, how did Midoriya do this? Before then saying, launch! As it spins out, sending towards that of Kurogiri, as it made contact with that of the, mist, which was solid enough for it to basically come in contact, bringing out that of the Cortec Monsuno, as the Cortec Monsuno basically looking like that of a merge between that of a 3-headed snake and having that of pinchers like that of centipede legs that look like, with the ends looking like that of blades, as it gives all that of a hissing growl, catching everybody completely off guard, even that of Tokiyami too, with even soon Kurogiri saying, ugh, another Monsuno controller. But I thought there was only one within this class. Before, getting the opportunity, Tokiyami saying, Ida, head out now. We'll hold him off. Saying, but do it now. You're a class rep, remember? Midoriya entrusted you with this. Prove it. Before then, Ida's hearing that, rushing towards the entranceway, with Kurogiri basically trying to stop him. However, Tokiyami having that of the Monsuno core in his hand, saying, I don't know what you are, but if I remember, Midoriya called you Glowblade. Glowblade, attack! Don't let that man of darkness go anywhere near that of Ida. Before, as hearing that, Glowblade obeyed the orders of Tokiyami, rushing towards that of the Miss Villain, sending that of a barrage of light attacks from its three mouths, causing Kurogiri to dodge out of the way, as, however, the light attacks also damaged that of its warp gate, piercing right through it without even, while hurting at the same time, saying, damn it all, how is this possible? I knew I knew that it wasn't truly quirks, but to think that Monsunos can even harm somebody like me when I'm not even using my full body or hiding it within the smoke. It's almost like it's attacking my very essence itself. With then getting the opportunity, Ochako saw the opening, realizing the metal brace as she basically floats that of Kurogiri up into the air, getting right in front of that of Glowblade, with Glowblade hissing, before then slamming its tail down onto that of Kurogiri, causing Kurogiri to be basically and utterly, consumed by the pain, having to warp out of there and land back to that of Tomura Shigaraki, getting Ida the time and necessary he needed to get out. Before Tokiyami looking at Glowblade saying, such fascinating power, overwhelming strength, truly a monstrous entity, but used for good. Now I understand what you mean, Midoriya. The capability of such power. Before then, looking at that, within, now getting the information, Ida soon arrives back at the school, also explaining things to that of the faculty, mainly because he was able to run into Nezu, who Nezu basically calls every student faculty, with even sending out that an alarm and even a police call towards that in that of Masafu, with Mount Lady still in that of the UA area, still basically keeping that gut feeling about something bad happening. As soon as she was about to basically leave and head to the downtown district to meet with that of Kamui Woods and Def Arms, that's when she gets the alert from that of her comms, realizing that tons of police are dispatched to that of UA, thinking that it was just going to be reporters again. However, that's when she begins thinking, maybe it's not, before extending her size and heading out towards that of UA, and soon maybe hoping that the UA barrier doesn't just affect the gate, but also lets her basically get over the school, as running through the streets before jumping over that of UA, and before then thinking, okay, I'm definitely going to get in trouble for that, but I don't give a damn. That damn leader of mine needs my help. As Mount Lady rushes towards that of the USJ, as even though she has no idea where it is, she's kind of just guessing at this point. Probably best to go to the spot on where possibly they hear that of trouble happening. Back currently at that of UA, on the other hand, in that of the support course room, in that of the support development hall, with May seeing that a power loader being told to basically head out, with Finn, she's saying, hey, Mr. Power Loader, what's going on? With Finn saying, everyone stay here and focus on your support gear. I need to head out. There's trouble currently on that of campus again. Within, Power Loader basically slides the door and heading out of that of the development studio, with May going, trouble, huh? As May was about to basically go back to that of her babies and especially getting ready to work on that of the strike gear designs. That's when one of the third year students saying, did you hear that? I heard from that of, Mr. Powerloader, that something bad is happening at the USJ. I think one of the hero course classes are in trouble. Saying, seriously? Guess he's going to need that of his support gear to basically take care of it. Before then, hearing that, May saying, hero course class, within going to that of her upperclassmen, within the two basically not aware of her, saying, hey, what hero course was it? Before then, the two upperclassmen going, what the hell you come from, Hatsune? Saying, answer the question, what hero course? Within the other one saying, pretty sure it was class 1A. Within hearing this, she's saying, that's Muscles class. Before then, she basically runs out of that of the support course studio, as then realizing, hey, where the hell are you going, Hatsune? You're supposed to just focus on your support gear. Saying, let her be. Girl does her own thing. As long as it doesn't affect us, and I guess it matters. As Hatsune basically rushes out and wanting to head to that of the, USJ as well. Before then realizing, damn it, Muscles, what happened? As soon she running down several flights of stairs. Before then, seeing that of many of the UA faculty already heading towards that of the USJ. And then noticing a distance as she uses that of her zoom quirk, seeing, wait, is that Giganta? Oh, she must be worried about Muscles too. Before then realizing, guesses I gotta do something to help out them after all. Can't let that of my number one customer and first friend basically get hurt. As she brings out that of her, Monsuno core. Within, as she soon basically tosses it out saying, Charger, launch! With her spitting out that of Charger, and soon it interacts with that of the pillar. As then the massive moose-like armored Monsuno comes out as he gives off his roar. But then May gets on that of Charger's back saying, Charger, get going! Head to that of the where the heroes are and possibly where Giganta Girl going. With then Charger listens to May and rushes towards the USJ. However, not only that, in the distance across the seas, but nearing that of Japan's borders, is that of a flying freaking airship. Within soon, and that of a military office, lies that of Major John Ace and Commander Trey, with then the two basically standing in place. With soon, that's when a woman spoke up saying, Major, Commander, I only called you here because we've heard from that of the boys detecting that of a huge strain of Monsuno energy in that of Japan. With then Trey saying, is it the Midoriya brat? If it is, we'll basically get him this time. With Sue, John saying, ma'am, please. Izuku is still just a kid. He's being used by his father. Please let him be for the time being. If we can convince him to inform us on where Hisashi is. I'm saying, I know you have a soft spot for the boy, Major, but if he still resists, we are going to get him ourselves. Before then, hearing that, Commander Trey saying, ourselves, ma'am. Before then, looking at that of the woman, seeing that she looks to be in that of her late 30s to maybe early 40s, wearing a black militaristic coat that really pronounces that of her chest a bit, with that of short, blonde hair, but with one strand that's a bang that comes all the way down to that of her face, actually. with red lipstick and a white coat over her shoulders, as this being Commandant Marshal Charlemagne, head of S.T.O.R.M. My duty is to protect the national security of the world from Monsunos. If the boys still seem as that of a threat risk, we'll take care of him here and now. Prepare the jump jet. We're heading to UA High. As the two say, yes, Commandant Marshal, as they salute to her. With now multiple people heading into that of UA, but currently back at that of the USJ, with Izuku arriving back at that of the center with that of, well, Mineta and Tsuyu, telling the two to head back to the entranceway, and hopefully that 13 and the others are all right. With Tsuyu saying, but what about you, Midoriya? You can't just say, I got Deep Six with me. We'll take care, we'll go and get that of Mr. Aizawa and bring him back. Believe me, trust me. Within hearing this, while Deep Six gets out of the water and plans on following that of Izuku's orders, before then, Tsuyu grabs that of Mineta with that of her tongue, with saying, hey, what the hell do you think you're doing? Saying, doing what Midoriya says, and I don't trust carrying you because you're just going to grope me again. Saying, hey, I wouldn't. Yes, you would, you damn pervert. As she hops away towards back to the entranceway. Within, soon, Izuku saying, let's do this, Deep Six. Still got some energy in you, buddy? Looking at that of Deep Six energy, which is only at that of 72%, even though he only used 2 attacks. That, well, Depth Find attack basically used a lot of Deep Six's energy. But even so, Deep Six is still ready to go. Saying, good to hear that, buddy. Then let's go. With Deep Six rushing back towards the center. Before then, however, in the center, currently, Aizawa is in a bad condition right now. Currently, one of his arms, mainly around the elbow, is showing that of his muscles, and currently being sat on by that of the Nomu, with his head basically almost looking kind of crushed, with blood coming down that of his forehead. Within, soon, Shigaraki saying, you know, you really are cool, Eraser. It's a real shame somebody like you just had to be a hero. It's a real waste, if anything. Not to mention, I was really hoping to kill All Might, if anything. Before then, looking at that of Kurogiri, still trying to keep himself in check. Before then, looking up in that of the stairway where the entrance is, seeing the giant 3-headed snake guarding that of the, well, stairway from that of the other villains, who are basically too afraid to even go near that of Glowblade. With them saying, seriously, all these really weird coincidences. And the worst part is, I only got one of these damn Monsunos. Before then, I saw it hurrying that saying, Monsuno. So you are connected to the eclipse, to that of those red Monsuno cores. Before then saying, oh, you mean the eclipse cores? Yeah, that bastard basically gave me this, saying it was a test after all. I figured that we was gonna have to face against one of those Monsunos after all. Guess I have no choice then anyway. Before then, soon. Dang, but before then, as then, noticing Tsuyu and Mineta getting closer and closer towards the stairway, saying, I may not be able to basically kill All Might, and I know that the heroes are going to show up soon. So why don't I basically break you and everyone else here alongside the symbol of peace by taking out one of his precious little students. As then, rushing towards that of Tsuyu and Mineta with his hand extended out, and was about to basically touch the frog-like girl, given how fast he was moving. However, he wasn't fast enough, as a blur basically comes in between that of, well, basically rams right into that of, well, Shigaraki, actually, with him basically being sent flying backwards back into that, but basically sending back to that where Kurogiri was. With then soon seeing this, Shigaraki trying to catch his breath, especially coughing up a little bit of blood on the corners of his mouth, with Kurogiri saying, "Tomura Shigaraki, are you okay?" Saying, "I was just sent flying by something. You really think I'm okay?" Before then, seeing that it was Izuku. However, he looks different. As right now, he's not in that of his. He's not in his normal form. However, right now his legs are different, as they look like the legs of Nightstone, with the tail and everything, and even her piercing eyes, and the spiked gem-like blades on that of both his hips and also on his shoulders. Before then, his eyes still having that of the bright blue, but his irises still go back to his normal emerald green. But then Shigaraki saying, "The hell? What kind of weirdo has a quirk like that?" Before then, Izuku trying to calm himself saying, "Deep Six! Get that thing off of Mr. Aizawa!" Before, as Deep Six listening towards Izuku, even though a little bit conflicted given his new appearance and feeling that of Nightstone's essence within him, he still knows that it's Izuku. As then, he uses his massive claw to knock back that of the Nomu. However, the Nomu trying his best to basically block the attack, but still sent skidding backwards. Before then, Izuku no longer needing Nightstone's power anymore, as he goes back to normal, and the core crystal basically materializes back in his hand, saying, "So that's how it feels to fuse with that of a Monsuno when having full control this time." Within saying, "Glad that she didn't fully take over me like she did, like how Locke did." Before then, shaking his head. As then, Shigaraki saying, "So you're the one we were here to take on." Before then, Izuku noticed, "Wait, is that Glowblade?" Before finally recognizing that Glowblade isn't in his pocket, saying, how did..." Before he could freak out, that's when Tokiyami saying, "Never fear, Midoriya. I've kept a good idea on that of your Glowblade, as you call it. He is a steadfast and worthy ally." Realizing that Tokiyami had Glowblade, and I'm actually thankful for that. Before then, noticing that of Shigaraki. Before then, noticing in his hands is that, saying, "Guess I finally get a chance to use this." It also means I can have two, even though Nomu's not a Monsuno, he's definitely had the power enough to basically rival one. With that, Izuku a little bit shocked and worried. Before, as then, Shigaraki saying, "Librax, launch!" As Shigaraki with four of his fingers, soon and then using that of his index finger to launch that of the Monsuno core towards that of Deep Six. As the red eclipse core begins spinning and spinning towards that of Deep Six and makes contact. Before then, coming out as that of a strange wolf with a mix of Cybertooth tiger DNA and a turtle shell on its back. But what also really catches guard is that of the sharp mandible horn pinchers on its head, as it has the same black, red, and purplish color scheme as every other Eclipse Monsuno, as it gives off that of a roar. But then soon, those on that of the entranceway notice that of Librax. But then, Sumina saying, "Are you kidding me? Somebody else has the same type of quirk as Midoriya?" With Shoji, Suno saying, "Not necessarily. Look at the color. It's not blue like that of Midoriya's, but red." With then soon, Zero saying, "Seriously, if I wanted a giant monster battle, I would basically watch a Godzilla movie. As Izuku noticing the Eclipse Monsuno, Librax going, looks like I'm gonna have to do this by myself. Before then, looking at the Nomu, realizing it took a full-on blow from that of Deep Six, and yet it's still standing. Any villain that a Monsuno faces against, it either takes that of 1 or 2 blows to even put him down. But that thing was able to take a full-on hit from Deep Six and still be standing. Maybe it's time for me to bring out Locke, as he was about to use that of Locke's core crystal to spin him out. That's when somebody basically, 2 things happen. 1, somebody bursts through that of the door, as then they say, students, never fear, as ripping off that of his tie, as it being All Might, but not his usual smile, but angry, saying, for I am here. With then everybody completely and utterly excited seeing the #1 hero has arrived. But also something else happened, like somebody basically bursting into that of the USJ's rooftop, causing tons of debris to fall down as they soon scream, ah! Should have thought this through, damn it! As recognizing the voice saying, wait, Mount Lady? Miss you? And she soon lands on her feet, before then shrinking down a bit though, saying, ugh, man. Before then noticing that of Librax saying, oh god damn it, a Monsuno! Before then pulling out that of Quick Force, as he soon spins him out as well, saying, Quick Force, launch! As within clashing with that of Librax's back, as soon the griffin-like Monsuno rises from that of his core, giving off that of a roar and his cry as well. Within, Shigaraki noticing Quick Force saying, another one? Where the hell are you bastards coming from? Before then saying, glad to make it in time. It's a good thing that I basically stayed around. And besides, as she gives that of a cocky, twisted, and somewhat excitable smile, saying, I've been looking forward to another Monsuno battle. With reinforcements finally arriving at the USJ, and more problems also coming towards UA. How will this battle turn out? And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Let's read them. Sorry to guys leave you off on that of a cliffhanger. Trust me, I wasn't planning on doing so, but when I basically started reading the script, I realized I really made it way too long. So I'm splitting it a bit in half. Originally, it was going to lead up to that of, well, S.T.O.R.M arriving and getting a battle out of them, but I think I can do that for the next part too. So, yeah. At any rate, if you guys like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell notification, keep to date my videos upload to the channel. Also, please check out my Discord, my gaming channel, my side channel, my Patreon, and my Cash App. All link in the description below. And if you guys want me to do a what if of your choosing as well, please donate $5 or more, and I'll do a one-shot of your choice. So, with all that said, this is Leon Mookie, signing out. Later, guys, and hope you all take care. Thank you so much for watching and staying to the end of the video.
But there's still so much on my love channel.
That's right, such as my other what if content and the most recent what ifs as well.
Not to mention his playlist, where you can watch all of his other what ifs.
Which, all said and done, this is Leon.
And Shiro.
And you're watching Leon Mookie.